This is my 2005 Toyota Sequoia, and I think it is one of the most underappreciated, undervalued off-road bargain SUVs money can buy. With its infamous TUZ FE, four-wheel drive, a center locking diff, and all the creature comforts anyone could ask for, this is so worth the money, and no one wants it. It's actually not that people don't really want this. There is certainly a market for these. It's just that the name doesn't really carry any weight. But to really show you why I think that this is the best bargain Toyota SUV money can buy, I'm going to take you through all of its features and quirks. But first, a little overview. The Toyota Sequoia was released in fall of 2000 as a 2001 model year, and it was a direct response to the growing popularity of the full-size SUV market here in North America. The Sequoia was developed in Japan just for the North America market alongside the Tundra. It was going against cars like the Chevy Tahoe and the Ford Expedition. Those other cars did manage to sell a lot better. The Tahoe, as an example, sold 300,000 units in 2001, whereas the Sequoia only did just a hair over 68,000. But clearly that was good enough because we still have the Sequoia today. When the Sequoia was released, you had two main options to choose from: the SR5, which was Toyota's base model, or the Limited like this is, which was fully loaded. It's worth mentioning that you could option an SR5 to have most of the features that the Limited had, and you could also dull down the Limited. Both were offered as two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. If you got four-wheel drive, you had a center locking differential. And all of them came standard with this, the TUZ FE V8. And this engine has made other cars infamous, like the 100 series Land Cruiser, across the globe for its bulletproof reliability. And there were basically two versions of this engine that were offered. In the pre-facelift models, 2001 to 2004, you had a 240 horsepower non-variable valve timing TUZ. From 2005, which this is, to 2007, you had variable valve timing. What that meant is an increase of about 42 horsepower. You went from 240 to 282, and you also increased 15 foot-pounds of torque. With the facelift model and variable valve timing, you also got a 5-speed transmission. The engine, without a doubt, is one of the main reasons this Sequoia is so great. But where the car really shines is in the inside. We're going to start here in the center console. Like a lot of other cars, you have a small storage cubby here with coin slots for small, just day-to-day items. A little tab here to keep notes or something safe. And underneath that, you of course have a much larger unit, but it is taken up by the DVD player because this car has a TV. Toyota did put it in the center though, which could be convenient. It gives you a front and rear pocket, so you can keep larger items back here that maybe stay in the car all the time. And for trips like snacks or sandwiches or something, you can keep them up front away from your other items. Moving down from the center storage, you have two large cup holders, your mirror controls, and this even has power folding mirrors, which is fairly impressive for a car like this. Off to the right hand side, you have heated seats for driver and passenger, but they are in this horizontal configuration, which can make it a little confusing, but they are labeled left for driver and right for passenger. Up from that, you do have this other open storage space, a blank switch, and three for your other ones. The first one being for your rear household style power outlet in the center console. It's very forward thinking for Toyota in 2005. Next to that is your rear ride height control. This has airbags in the rear where you can lift it up and lower it. I assume the purpose for that is if you go to the store and you have something heavy, you can lower the rear end down and have easier access to the cargo space of the car. As for lifting, I guess if you're on some really rugged terrain and you need more departure angle, you can lift the rear of the car up. It should be mentioned that you can't drive around with it in either of those positions over anything about 20 miles per hour. It just goes back to the middle. So you can't drive around with a sagging rear end. And next to that, you can control the height of the car manually. And I'm not entirely sure what that even does. But right above that, you have a cigarette style power outlet, coin storage, or an ashtray. Even more cup holders, which do come very handy. And more forward thinking by Toyota with two more cigarette style power outlets. I forgot to mention the two power outlets on the side stay active for about an hour to an hour and a half after you shut off the car, which is pretty convenient for charging items without killing your battery. And this was before a time where charging all of your devices was nearly as big as it is today. But it's one of my favorite features that actually a lot of Toyotas have. From there, you have your two-wheel drive, your 4 high, your 4 low, your center locking diff, And one of my favorite things about this is that all your climate controls are separate and they're simple dials and buttons. It's all very intuitive and nothing is in the screen. You have your hazards and then your infotainment system. And I say it's just an infotainment system because some models from this era actually integrated the climate controls into the screen. And while usually they do work, it overcomplicates things and take what should be a one-step process and can make it 2 or 3. And at this point in time, a lot of those systems are very laggy. On the far passenger side, you of course have an adequately sized glove box. And then further up, of course, this is aftermarket. This is the one aftermarket thing I added to the car. This rail does not come standard, but you can buy them, of course. Up from that, you have your rear view mirror, which is automatic dimming. That's nice. And then you have a tiny little information screen. It gives you things like the direction you're traveling in, the temperature outside, your current fuel mileage, things like that. It is very convenient. You also have garage door openers, a sunglass holder, and then your reading lights. And you also have your controls for your moonroof. And then right in front of you, of course, you have your steering wheel, and there are things like volume buttons. You can change the track or the mode of the infotainment system. You have the same cruise control button that Toyota's been using probably for the past 40 years. On the left-hand side, you have a stock coming out for your headlights. You have automatic headlights in this car, and of course your turn signals. On the right-hand stock, you have controls for your windshield wipers and the rear wiper. And unlike most Toyotas from this era, where your gear selector is here in the center, they moved it up here, which is super convenient because it gives you so much more space in the center console. This is actually one of my favorite features. And on the far left-hand side, you have controls for your rear window to go all the way down, memory seats, and you can adjust the brightness of the lights on your interior. And then on the door, you have lock and unlock for your doors, the window lock. You do have automatic up and down windows for the front doors, but you do not get them for the rear. Why, Toyota? Why couldn't you have done that for me? You have a nice storage compartment in the door and power seats. Coming to the back of the Sequoia is actually where I think this car shines the most. The large center console.
I also forgot to mention that the center console is easily removable. There's a latch on the back that you pull up, it slides forward, and you can remove it from the car without having to unbolt anything.
And much like the front, the center console has storage here, and you can open this up, and you have this huge storage compartment here as well. Closing that, you have 2 large cup holders. Moving forward, 2 more cup holders, and your climate controls are conveniently located right here in the center. Up from that, you have your TV that pops down, reading lights, you have a remote control for the TV, and you have Toyota branded headphones that stay in your door pockets. On the door panel, you also have your window switch and an ashtray because your kids got to smoke too. And then sitting here, I obviously have pretty decent headroom, but I have fantastic knee room. I have my climate vents here. There are climate vents on the floor, storage pockets for rear passengers, and the biggest party trick is there's a household style power outlet right here underneath the cup holders and RCAs, so you can hook up your PS2 and play Need for Speed here on your TV. Finally, we move to the back of the car, which is as simple as 1 and 2. And then let's climb in. And then starting off, since I'm here, you have a storage compartment underneath. And in here you have some of your tools for replacing your tire. Your bottle jack also goes in here, but I took that out. And sitting back here while the seat is not in place, I can confirm there is plenty of room. You also have 2 cup holders on either side and rather large storage compartments with lids. You also have rather large open storage compartments underneath the cup holders on both sides. You also have a lower vent down here for climate controls and 2 up by your head. And finally, we're at the cargo area, where this car has one of my favorite features of all time. The sliding power rear window. Now, unfortunately, with the key fob, you can roll it down. You just can't roll it back up. If you want to roll it back up without having to go to the front of the car and inside, you can use the key. And it's important that we do that because the struts on this are not strong enough to hold it with the rear window down. But now let's open the trunk. And inside, if you ignore all the things that I put back here, it's actually a pretty decent size for a 3rd row SUV. You of course have good height, the depth is pretty good. You have a storage compartment on that side. You have another cigarette saw outlet just below it. And you have some mechanical stuff in here that I'm not really sure what it is. Toyota also gives you a nice little loop if you're shorter to be able to pull your trunk back down. And that's pretty much it.
I also want to talk about styling. The first-gen Sequoia amongst many enthusiasts is considered the ugly one. While this is highly subjective, I don't think there's a bad angle on this car. The front end, especially on the facelift model, is very nice looking. I love the fender flares, taillight design, the wing, and how the glass appears to wrap around the rear pillar. I feel the Sequoia even appears muscular. It's tall, wide, and while it does look like common traffic, these completely stock do look better than other Toyota models from this era. It might not be the most beautiful car, but I do have to say it's far from ugly. Once again, I think the name and the original market for this SUV is what makes people think it's unattractive. It's almost the same exact styling as the Tundra, and most people like those.
But of course that isn't the end. Now it's time to get the first gen Toyota Sequoia out on the road and see how it drives. All right, driving the 2005 facelifted first gen Sequoia. How does it feel? And the answer is, it's fine. It's fine. It's pretty much exactly what you would expect out of a large body on frame SUV. It's not particularly exciting, but that's actually kind of a good thing. There are quite a few other full-size SUVs from this era that I feel like did things to try and make you feel like it had more power or that it was super luxurious. In some cases, they would have, a very touchy throttle, which could be annoying. This is, you hop in it and it's almost exactly what you would want. It feels great, especially for the mileage, which I don't think I've mentioned. This has 330,000 miles on it, and everything in it works. This is a great car. I mean, the engine that's in this is one of the main reasons to buy one of these. It is so incredibly smooth and surprisingly potent for the miles that this has. It doesn't feel like it's lost any of its 282 horsepower in the 330,000 miles that it's driven. The ride is a little harsh. The front suspension in this, some of this could have to do with mileage. It's not as supple as I was expecting. Comparing this to my LX470 is like comparing apples and oranges, but I don't really remember these being quite as harsh when I was a kid growing up, and some of my friends' parents had these. With this, you go over bumps and you really feel it. The rear, even having the air ride suspension, is not exactly what I would consider smooth coming up on some railroad tracks here. Those aren't too bad, but we will be coming up on another set where I go over it at like 10 miles an hour. I suppose I expected this to ride a lot like kind of the third gen 4Runners that I've had, where the stock suspension is pretty good. I mean, you hit bumps, you can hit larger ruts, and it feels fine. In this, you kind of do sometimes feel like you're breaking your back a little bit. But speaking of that, I mean, the seats are very comfortable. The heated seats are nice. The armrests, are right where you'd want them. The armrest here are right where you'd want them. You have, this upright, kind of in charge driving position. You're looking out through this massive windshield. The hood is very easy to see where it ends. It's very easy to park because of these large windows. It's actually a very well designed SUV. As far as off-roading, I personally have never taken this off-roading, or any Sequoia for that matter. But like anything else in this world, there's a relatively decent aftermarket for it. So if it isn't great off-road stock, you can certainly make it, because it has, all of these other things that people love about these Toyotas. It has the independent front suspension, which I think people would prefer a solid front axle, but nonetheless, all the other desirable Toyotas have that same setup. The independent front suspension, the solid rear, the 4 high, low, the center locking diff is, fantastic. Having owned this car for a little while now, there's not a whole lot to dislike at this point. I really think it's a fantastic car, especially for the money. I mean, this was $2,500, which in 2026 is, basically unheard of, especially for something that's running and driving with no check engine lights or not even any pending codes. I mean, it just really shows how well built these Sequoias were. But with that said, those are the features and quirks of the first gen facelifted Toyota Sequoia. As always, thank you for watching, and happy off-roading.